Excuse me. Check that out. 7:01. We'll give it another minute here. Or two. While we wait, let me grab a sheet of note paper. I like to keep notes for myself. Otherwise, I forget. All right, here. Give it another 15 seconds. We'll hit 7:03 and then we'll get started. And there we are, 7:03. Actually, I kind of spaced right by it. Let's get started. It is Wednesday night, everybody. Wednesday, 7 p.m. is the start of our South Carolina Normal Cannabis Conversation every week. All of our meetings are an environment of education and awareness and are not an open market for the sale, purchase, or distribution of cannabis. We do not encourage or condone illegal behavior of any kind. Welcome to the conversation tonight. My name is Scott Weldon. I'm the Executive Director of South Carolina Normal. Welcome to everybody that's here with us on the call. Welcome to anybody that may be watching live on YouTube, and also welcome to anybody who's watching as a recording on YouTube later on. Talking about YouTube, I just want to let you know that if you are watching on YouTube, we do not monitor the comment section down below, off to the side, depending on your device. Uh, um, during our live chat. So if you do have any comments, questions, concerns, go ahead and leave them in the comments below, and then we'll visit the video usually in about 24 to 48 hours after YouTube sort of done processing it, and we'll try and answer your questions, comments, or concerns. Um, It is, where are we? May 26th. Dang, we're running fast into the year. Um, and if any of you saw our announcement about what's going on today on the conversation, is I got nothing. I don't know what to talk about. I've been sort of out of commission past most of the day, and nothing really exciting has happened in the news that I'm aware of. I did sit in, I believe it was noontime yesterday, with a an update from Jill Swing on what's going on legislatively with S-150, and also she did talk a bit about H-3361, the Herb Kurzman version of the bill. And actually, it's some good information in there. She was sharing why Herb Kurzman's bill includes the smoking option and the sale of flower relief, I think she called it, at the dispensaries, is because he had a loved one who was able to get relief from smoking, who was very ill. I don't know the whole details, but it was definitely why we see a lot of our legislators sort of start supporting cannabis. Is if it wasn't for themselves, it's a loved one, family member who's been ill and been able to benefit from cannabis, and they've seen it, and now all of a sudden their thinking evolves on the plant, um, for medical purposes. Anybody else, you're going to jail. So anyway, besides my rambling, I'm sort of hoping to get some input from who's with us. Anybody who's joining in with us tonight. Let me go ahead and hide the announcement from my screen just so I can see what's going on here. As many of you may know, last week we announced that we are not long after announcing our event in July, we've postponed it, rescheduled it. Rescheduled date has been set for January 15th. Location will still be the same, Segra Park in Columbia. Segra Park is the home of the Columbia Fireflies. So it's at their location. They have a conference room. We're not going to be out wandering around on the ball field or anything like that. Um, but they have a rather nice sized banquet room there that overlooks the field. Um, and the decision was primarily made to do that for, I'm going to say, two reasons. One is I really haven't been on the ball with getting all of our vendors together and our other similar nonprofits. As I said earlier, my health has not been great. It's I've been sluggish at best some days, and the days that I do feel energetic, I try and get some stuff done, and then fatigue sets in rather quickly. So uh, that's one of my excuses. And the other is, and this one's a really, to me, a more logical excuse, is session's done. Basically, second Thursday of May, the legislature's done here in South Carolina. They will not reconvene until the second Tuesday of January of the next year, which will be January 11th. And that's why we decided we're going to postpone the event. We're going to have it as soon as we can, the first Saturday after um, legislature restarts in 2022. There's been a promise from I'm gonna say it was kind of Tom Davis and, oh, I forget his name, Speaker of the House, speakers. I forget who it was, but they were going to debate this as one of the top priority items on the list. It will see the Senate floor, according to this, first thing in January. I don't know if it'll be in that first week, but that is then the Senate vote, and then it still would have to go over to the House and start moving through that process. My hope is that we get the new legislators in. We had discussed a little bit as a board. Do we want to maybe think about trying to do it during the week, because a lot of legislators will come to Columbia for the week and then go home on weekends. Um, but it's not really as doable for us logistically, especially getting the volunteers there and getting ourselves there and things like that on a weekday versus weekends. Um, as many of you know, what we do is all volunteer. So we have to take care of business during the week sometimes. Um, so those are our reasons behind it. My hope tonight is, like I say, I really got nothing to talk about except potentially this. Um, I'm looking for maybe suggestions of um, organizations in South Carolina. Might be convenient there if they're in the Columbia area, that might fit the bill for good vendors or uh, um, not co-sponsors. What's the word I'm looking for? Collaborators on here. And what was sort of interesting about it is yesterday with National on my call with National Normal, we have a twice weekly chapters call, and there's different varying topics from time to time. One of the topics that we have been trying to hit quarterly is talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion in our organization and in our activities in the community. Um, and so that was rather interesting to me, being rather sheltered from a lot of that throughout my years. Um, and that's kind of what some of the theme of this the event is supposed to be is inclusion and the diversity of the people that are harmed by the um, residual consequences from a marijuana arrest or that type of thing. Um, y'all have heard me talk quite often about the group cruelconsequences.org up out of Virginia. They are gathering stories from across the nation of people who have had, um, these residual consequences and how it's affected their life or the life of a loved one, depending on the story. Um, and it really ties into the theme of what we're looking to do in January is to educate the community and the legislators on this first off, and for the need for decriminalization to stop criminalizing simple possession of cannabis. Um, I don't know if I'm repeating myself on this one from last week's call or not, but there was a story that may be coming out from South Carolina that sort of reminds me of why you may hear me talk against school resource officers in our schools. Um, and something I never knew about until about 5 years ago when I moved from Pennsylvania to South Carolina. I started hearing activists in this area talking about the school to prison pipeline. Um, and I'm like, what is this? And it kind of starts with these school resource officers and instead of trying to educate and help our children along, they're criminalizing them and they're throwing them in prison or into the system um, for simple infractions many times. Um, and the one thing I even heard it proposed in one of the local counties here, I don't think it was Charleston County School District, but I know one of the ones not too far from me was proposing doing random drug testing of their students. Now, first off, this is an absolute Fourth Amendment violation of someone's rights if they don't have a probable cause of that the crime's been committed. Um, the other thing is, and this is something that I was explaining to the woman that runs Cruel Consequences. Um, Students aren't dumb. They're aware that marijuana lasts in your system for weeks. It stores in the fats of your cells, stores in your fat, and a regular consumer can still test positive 30 days later, or needs about 30 days to clear. An occasional user maybe a little less time, but these students know this, and they don't want to get in trouble for cannabis. And so they opt for something at times more dangerous, but that will clear their system quicker. Again, I don't know a lot about these newer designer drugs, but I hear a lot about the MDMA. I hear a lot about uh, kids taking Ritalin and sharing their medications in school and things like that, and they're aware that this stuff will clear their system much quicker than marijuana. And having these random drug tests and letting students know it is pushing them in the wrong direction. And like I say, I mentioned this to Tamara, the woman that runs Cruel Consequences. She says, I was a school teacher for 14 years. I never connected that until you just kind of said that. And I'm like, yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing. By having school resource officers in there and random drug testing, we're putting our children in more danger um, of going to prison, and that's not what we want. Excuse me. That's just one of my ramblings, as you all may know. Um, so my question to you is: do you have any organizations that you think we should be including um, to reach out in the community? My hope is, and here's sort of some before I have you, Mike, on. Um, a quick list of sort of what they came up with the other day when we were talking in our diversity, equality, inclusion type conversation with national. Any type of poverty law group, legal aid group, um, expungement organizers. I mean, that to me would be absolutely, if there's somebody that knows of an organization that assists in expungement up in the Columbia area that would want to participate, or actually anywhere in South Carolina, and that would be willing to come to our event and participate in our event. Um, because not only do we want to change the laws, we want to clear the records of people who have cannabis arrests on their laws, because many of these residual consequences come from that background record check. You want to try and get student loans. You want to try and get public housing. You want to try and get a security clearance and a government job, or a government job. Um, you know, these things will come up. I was talking to someone one day who was charged with, but then the charges were dropped on some sort of cannabis charge. I don't know if it was a possession, or I think it may have been a possession. But anyway, the charges were dropped, um, and something came up with her job where they ended up doing a background check on her and found this charge. And I don't know if it affected her promotion or if she was questioned on it, but I don't remember again the specifics. And she says, "Well, hold it. Those charges were dropped." Oh yeah, they're dropped, but it's still on record. Um, so that's something else to consider. Is even if you've ever been charged with something, and even if the charges are dropped or you're found not guilty, there's still a record of it, and that's why you want to expunge. That stuff should come off of your record. That should not be out there for a potential employer or something to see, and give them an opportunity to discriminate against you because, well, you were arrested for it, and although never convicted, it could be held against you. So again, these are some of the residual consequences. I've never been arrested for it, but then again, it, you know I've worked for myself once. Once Reagan started implementing P testing, and basically he implemented it for government employees, but then the public sector followed along real quickly right behind, and it became, I believe, mandatory by many insurance companies, um, as, as as one of their stipulations. So it's not necessarily law, although there is the Safe Workplace Act. It's not even stipulated that there's pre-employment drug testing in the Safe Workplace Act. Um, and pre-employment drug testing has absolutely no evidence to make for safer workplaces. So that's just another type of organization. If you know of anybody, anything up in like I say, probably closer to the Columbia area that would want to help participate with us, educate on how these residual effects affect the people that they're trying to help or work with. Now, mind you, there's a number of other group type things that we want to be inclusive of. Some of the ones I jotted down were Urban League, NAACP, uh, Black Lives Matter, I know there's an organizer here in Charleston. I'm not sure about, and I'm probably sure that there'd be somebody up in Columbia, LGBTQ pride organizations. Uh, it affects all of our groups, and those are just some of the ones that we were talking more about, the equity, inclusion, equality type thing. The other thing I'd like to see is if we can get organizations that are trying to help the homeless and the challenges that they face if somebody has cannabis uh, conviction on their record, and that sort of thing. Um, Other organizations that are trying to, as we sort of talked about the employment aspect of it, helping people get jobs and employment. Now, the problem with some of these is they're government run and they're not going to participate. They've got to be, for the most part, uh, nonprofit organizations, community service organizations that are trying to better our communities. Um, and we don't have a large slot opening for vendors, so we will, be sort of looking at these various folks. We've been starting to reach out to some folks already in the area. I haven't heard back from, but we've reached out to LEAP, which is Law Enforcement Action Partnership. They're very active in criminal justice reform. Quite often, I think a lot of their speakers are ex law enforcement. Um, One fellow that I do know that represents them is Rayford Davis. You can find him on Twitter. Rayford lives in the Charleston area. Used to be a North Charleston police officer. He spoke at our rally back in, I think he spoke in our 2017. Actually, yeah, I think he spoke at our 2017 rally. He may have even spoke at our follow up rally the following year, 2018, where we had a number of speakers, but I think he was our primary speaker the first year. Um, there is a veterans organization here that actually I have to go back and find them on Facebook. Somebody sent me their link. I think it's South Carolina Veterans Group that I think would be a good fit for this. Veterans Cannabis Coalition, Veterans for Cannabis. I think it was a South Carolina one. One problem I have with Facebook searches, and I believe it's not just me, is that they censor the word marijuana and cannabis in their search, at least on my desktop version, because there's quite often I'll go and I'll look for a group that I know is there that I'm a part of, and I just try and find it through their search, and it won't pop up. Anyway, those are the kind of groups. If anybody does have any comments or suggestions, I would definitely appreciate it. But yeah, that is a big part of why we've bumped back our date, is to make sure. I just didn't think I had it in me, especially like I say with my health issues. I had it in me to pull this together and make it an effective event, and also being off legislative session, um, again, less effective. So that's why we're making those changes. Um, Geez, I've managed to ramble for 20 minutes so far when I had said I had nothing to talk about. That's not unusual. Um,
I
oh,
have a few things I could add.
yes, Josh.
I have been arrested and charged. Went through Lexington County's PTI program, which was a big money making thing.
What does that
Uh,
stand for?
Pre-trial intervention.
Oh, okay.
Basically they send you a bunch of classes where they don't teach anything in the classes, but from your fellow group members, get a lot
You
of
learn a
tips on
lot.
how to, yeah. Um, but I went through the process, had it expunged, and it still comes up. The arrest never goes away. So that's always on a search. Um,
Oh, okay.
the
That doesn't.
charges go away, but the arrest, it still shows you are arrested or something,
Hmm.
whatever it was. Um, but that was the first point. The second thing was our logo. I know you mentioned our new shirts a couple weeks ago. With the new logo, it works because I have family members that are not for it at all. Actually do some research because they saw that logo and they weren't going to ask me. They had to do their own research. So that was a good thing. Um, and then something funny happened in Raleigh. The governor, was catering. I don't know if you saw this or not. Catering a meal, and he was so excited that he had to take a picture and post it on Twitter. And he had his vape pen sitting in between the food trays, and you
No.
can tell
What governor was this?
it's the governor of Raleigh,
Oh, okay.
and you can tell by the color of the liquid in it, it wasn't Delta 8 or CBD.
Hmm.
So I just thought that was funny. And, my point of that being, if these people were held accountable like we were, these laws would change a lot faster. If you start hassling them and their family members, stuff will get changed so much quicker. But, them not having to face any penalties, of course, they're above the law. And I think that was my final point.
Okay, I thank you for that. Yeah, there's definitely that privilege that especially legislators have. They get away with doing stuff. I don't know if any of you follow Matt Gates. Oh my goodness, he and Valerie Tyler Green or whatever Taylor Green. Oh my gosh, it's like two train wrecks coming together. In my opinion, that's my opinion. Um, uh, but yeah, um, trying to cut through the hypocrisy can definitely be a challenge. Need a big knife for that. Um, but thank you, yeah, thank you for those points. I do appreciate that. Uh, Anybody else have anything to add for us tonight? Any other chat you'd like to, or like I say, any suggestions? Let's have a party. No, I don't. Um, we did have our first gathering. When was it? Earlier in May, when we had one of our monthly meetings. Maybe it was actually our April meeting. Oh yeah, it was our April meeting. Met at the Celtic Knot up in Somerville. It was fun to finally get out and see a few people. It was a rather small event. Like I say, we want to find some uh, larger events to maybe set our tent up at between now and January. Um, State fair, that kind of stuff. So keep an eye out and we'll let you know what's going on. We haven't made any decisions on any of those things at the moment, but they should be coming soon because things are opening up. More and more people are, getting vaccinated. Although I think, where did I go the other day? You know, people are pretty comfortable that I've seen going maskless. Um, I don't know. I'm hoping for the best for everybody. Um, because I tend to go maskless a lot of times too. I've had my vaccinations, but then there's times I'm like, well, people are kind of close. Like a new T-shirt that I'm looking at. I have it on a list of T-shirts I like. It says, "Free hugs." Not really. Get away from me. Um, like, don't touch me. That's what it was. Don't touch me. Anyhow, I would love to see something hosted up in Columbia. Were you telling me somebody was telling me about a like a Saturday market very popular in Columbia? That was somebody else. That was a fellow named Daniel I spoke to a while back. So apparently there's some sort of like vendor market in downtown Columbia where Saturday farmer market type thing, similar to probably what they do at Marion Square here in Charleston. Um, that's more a citywide, but still that would be cool. Um,
It's actually at the farmers market,
oh, it
and
is at the farmers market. Okay.
yeah, and they have a vendor area set up, and they actually hosted a uh, a hemp, vendor day out there, which was really interesting because they had all kind of products, from
Hmm,
hemp.
that's interesting. Do they ever have any like political booths? I know just the past year or so. Well, they were closed last year for the most part. I think the previous year, Charleston's farm market on Saturday just started permitting like the Democratic and Republican Party to come and set up booths. Before that, they had told them no, which technically is a city-run thing. They have no, they can't really censor that type of stuff, but apparently you have to push back with them. We've been told no too, and we've pushed back, but then again, the pandemic hit, so we haven't pushed any harder at this point.
I haven't seen any of them out there yet.
Okay, cool. Um, I will keep that in mind. Yeah, I'd love to see something come together and be able to, especially have some of the folks in Columbia feel like they can get involved. Um, like I said, because m- most of our boards are right down, right here in the Charleston area, so we tend to focus, of course, a lot of our activity here, but we don't want to exclude the rest of the state because we're now South Carolina normal. Um, I have had a couple of conversations with that in mind. I have had a couple of conversations with a couple of people here and there. Someone up in Myrtle, someone up in actually a couple of people out of Myrtle, and a couple of people out of the Greenville area on starting various chapters under our banner. Um, and we'll see kind of where that goes because if they can start organizing in those areas, that'll be definitely helpful to the cause, help us extend our reach. And as many of you know, my goal is to start circulating these local initiative ballot petitions to decriminalize on the uh, municipal level because that's the way I think we're going to be able to change laws here in South Carolina. I don't think we're going to have a lot of luck changing them legislatively for decriminalization or any type of adult recreational type use. Um, and I don't have details again on it, but I have been watching one where I believe some legislature pushing back and against some folks that have done may have been one of the state level ballot initiatives. We don't have the option to do state level. Um, and now they're trying to rewrite that legislation and push back against it legislatively once the people had their voice heard and actually got the process through. Um, so that's sort of what I believe will happen here also in South Carolina as we move forward. We'll get legislators trying to push back against it. There may be, court battles involved. Who knows? Um, I can only hope, and as I sort of hinted at last week, and I haven't heard anything yet, but I'm really expecting to hear something soon from both the House and the Senate on federal legislation. Um, hoping to see the House version of the MORE Act reintroduced. I'm hoping to see whatever the new version of the Senate bill is going to be called. I don't know, but again, I'm hoping to see that stuff announced any day now. I was hoping this week. Um, I'll keep you posted on that. Otherwise, um, let me see. Just want to double check and look at some of my little scribbles on my notes here in front of me. We did our federal legislative update last week, so I'm not going to get into all that again this week. I guess we'll call it a short meeting if you don't mind. I don't want to just sit here and ramble for another half hour. Um, I know last week I did see somebody trying to join like 2 minutes after we ended the meeting, but things happen. I got nothing else tonight. So thank you. I appreciate you coming in. I really want to come up. Oh. That is right. I do have one thing, not just nothing. Attorney Johnny McCoy, Myrtle Beach, has come out with a new app. Uh, White Flag App.com, I think. Oh, let's see if I can find it real quick. Whiteflagapp.com. He is a big proponent of vets and helping vets with PTSD and the White Flag app. I'll do a real quick share with this for you, just so you can see what I'm talking about. There's the share button. All right. And you should be able to see this now. I'll quick go into the about. How it works: download the app, sign up anonymously with a username. White Flag is free for users, and it always will be. Need to talk? Instantly connect with someone that's been there too. You're not alone. You never have to feel that way again. This is primarily for, well, as you can see by just the imagery on the top, vets that are right here. It highlights the first mental health app with immediate customized peer support that is changing the way people in pain communicate and heal. Um, Johnny McCoy is. Let me copy that and I'll drop it in the chat then in a moment. All right. Johnny McCoy was the lawyer in. Oh gosh, now can I find it? See if I get the name right or wrong. Okay. Johnny McCoy was the attorney for Julian Benton. Julian Benton was shot when police from the DEA entered his home. Um, a woman said that Benton sold him some marijuana. And in the end, Julian Benton ended up receiving 11.5 million taxpayer dollars. And I don't believe any law enforcement officers ever took any responsibility. Um, Johnny did, from my understanding, go to the city council of Myrtle Beach and propose a decrim ordinance. Pretty much at, I believe, the request of Julian Benton, because Julian wanted to see actual change in his town um, and was looking to. Let me see if I can open the article, give you a little bit more information here, because he was found, I think, with a little bit of weed. Um, oh, and I was wrong. $11.25 million, according to this article. What I will do is I'm going to just give you this link too, if you want to read a little bit more on Julian Benton's case. But anyway, um, Johnny was his lawyer. Julian wanted to see change, wanted to see, decrim, didn't want to see this happen to anybody else. So Johnny went to the city council of Myrtle Beach and proposed that one of them sponsor a an ordinance to decriminalize simple possession in Myrtle Beach. Uh, I heard about this. I'm going to guess maybe a year ago, and I've heard nothing more about it as far as that goes. But that app was developed, I believe. Johnny McCoy is a big part of it, if not the main proponent. I couldn't tell you, but he has been promoting it recently. And I reached out to him the other day, asked if he would come on to our conversation. I believe next Wednesday. Um, we're going to have him on, and he's going to talk about his app and why he, you know, his passion for developing it and helping out others that have been through some of the same things in the military that he has been and such. Um, so look forward to that. Mark that on your calendars. Like I say, I'm pretty sure it should be next Wednesday from what he messaged back to me. Um, I will confirm with him, and when I do my post, if I have a special guest, I hopefully can post a day or two before before Wednesday when I do the posting about what our topic will be. Um, all righty. Keep that in mind. Otherwise, that was the last thing I did want to talk about tonight. I am kind of excited because that's close to my heart. He's going to be invited as well to and present at our event and see if he wants to participate there because I think it's a good fit there as well. Um, but that's all I do have this evening. So I will come back next Wednesday. We don't have any monthly meetings left this month. Next Wednesday, 7 o'clock. Look for us back here for the cannabis conversation. Also, if you need to contact us, reach out through our website, normalsc.org. You can hit us through the contact page there. You can email at us at normalsouthcarolina@gmail.com. Message us through our social media, more likely to get a response out of Facebook Messenger, but I do try and keep up with messaging as well on Instagram and Twitter. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. In case you happen to miss any of our meetings, you can always get a notice and go and see them there. Thank you again for joining me tonight. Look forward to seeing you next week. Have a great night, all. Take care now. Bye bye.